Hi, the name of this presentation is Being Successful in Nursing School, and it is presented by futurenurse.net. This presentation is called Laying the Foundation. This whole presentation is a series. This is part one of the series. It's called Being Successful in Nursing School. Then we have some more concept mapping and care planning, test taking strategies, overcoming testing anxiety, understanding higher level thinking, which you'll hear in nursing school, and then putting it all together. And that's information on the NCLEX. Learning to balance is another one. We also have some things on, just general anxiety, taking care of yourself, learning to do that as a nurse. So the first thing that you have to look at is what your goal is. Most of the time, people come in with the goal of practicing safely as a nurse. However, you have to start somewhere. And you want to start nursing school by passing all your prerequisites. Usually they're like chemistry, biology, microbiology. Different schools have different prerequisites. Some nursing schools may say that you have to have anatomy and physiology as 2 classes. Some will say you can go ahead and have them as 1 class. So you really have to watch what the school wants. If you're applying to a couple different schools, then you kind of want to talk to them and try to figure out what you need to take overall. The second thing is you want to get accepted into a nursing school. Once you get accepted into the nursing school, you will got to take your classes and you want to learn the information. Once you learn the information and you take the tests and pass the class, that's the goal, right? Then eventually, once you pass all your classes, you'll pass nursing school. Now, I should mention that in nursing school, your classes, the passing test score is usually at least a 78%. You may be able to get if you have like a 92, that may be an A or that may be a B. So the level of achievement is higher in nursing school than you're probably used to in most of your prerequisites. So I want you to keep that in mind too. So once you pass nursing school, you have to take the NCLEX, and the NCLEX is a state given test, and that makes you a registered nurse once you pass that. Then your goal is to practice safely as a nurse. Nursing success takes dedication, and there's no easy way around that. That's going to be during nursing school, that's going to be as a nurse, that's going to be your whole career. Nursing success takes dedication, so I want you to remember that you just need to be dedicated and you need to be committed. There's so many components to nursing school, and you have to kind of try to juggle all this stuff. So you have your study time, you have your class time, you have homework time, ATI testing. ATI testing is a standardized test that's given in many nursing schools, and it's just kind of to get nursing students used to taking that NCLEX. You also have activities that you need to do and testing, just standard tests that you're going to have in your classroom. You also have skills that you have to learn, and some of those skills are like putting Foley's in. I'm trying to think, there's so many skills that you're just going to need to learn. Putting Foley's in, starting IVs, taking care of IVs, taking care of ostomies. I mean, I could go on and on and on with the different skills that you're going to have. Then you're going to kind of put those skills to the test as you learn them, and that's in simulation. Simulations is a really great way that you can learn about nursing. You can test your knowledge and you kind of learn to use it on the go. So what happens is there's a simulation lab. Some of the mannequins, I guess we can call them mannequins, some of them like actually you can hear the heart and the lungs. It's really awesome. Some of them don't really do much like that anyway. They're not interactive per se. You can't hear anything on them, but you can practice doing things like putting NG tubes in and things like that. So what happens with the simulation is you'll have a scenario, and usually it's as a group, and then you have to kind of figure out what's going on with this patient and care for the patient. It's actually a really, really neat thing. And then you'll have clinical time. So the clinical time is usually involved in a hospital or some other nursing facility, kind of like place where you're going to find nurses. So even a doctor's office. Hold on, I need to get a pop here. So there's lots of different components that you have in nursing school, and you have to balance them all. So you have your class time, and during class time, you have to actively listen. You can't just sit there and play on your phone and do things like that. You have to see what is going on, and I want to participate in this class because it's going to really help me learn. You also have to actively listen. So not only am I going to participate in class, but I'm going to listen to what the instructor's saying. They're not talking for their health. They're talking and teaching so that you can learn about the nursing skills. You also have to plan for class, which we'll kind of get into. And then you have to take notes. So whether you take them on your laptop or you take them on paper, that's fine. Either works. But like if you have your laptop open, don't sit there and shop. And this is not the time. Class time is not the time to shop. You have to ask yourself, what kind of a nurse would I want to have? Would I want a nurse that was sitting playing on their computer during class? Or would I want a nurse that was paying attention and engaged in the conversation? I think I know your answer. At least I hope I do. Also, clinical time. Clinical time is not a time to go into a room and hide. It's a time that you're going to put your skills to the test, or you're going to learn the skills. I don't want to make it sound like you're being tested during clinical. However, it is an active learning experience. You're going to have a nurse there. Usually what we do as instructors is we will assign a nurse to a student, and the student follows the nurse, and perhaps maybe sometimes, the student will actually pick a patient and care for that patient. And then you have to do like a care plan and medication list and things like that on your patient. It's actually really neat. And you get to see things that a lot of people that aren't nurses don't get to see. You also have to learn to actively listen. So not only are you going to listen to your instructor, but you're going to listen to the nurses. Even the CNAs can teach things during clinical. And the patient, you're going to listen to what the patient is telling you. The person who knows their body the best is the patient. You'll also listen to the doctors and lab personnel and respiratory therapists, physical therapists. There are so many different people that are there to teach you. So why not take advantage of that and be active in your learning? You also want to be compliant. When I say compliant, I mean that the school's probably going to have paperwork and things that you need to do. One of those things in all nursing is that you have to have your vaccinations. Keep a list of all your vaccinations, when you got them. You're going to have to get your influenza every year. So make sure that you're keeping track and that you have proof that you got your influenza vaccine. You're also going to have to get a TB test every year. And if you show positive, you have to go get that chest x-ray. And it's the 2-part test. So you get it, and then you have to wait a few days, and then they read it. Or you can get the blood one, and that's the one that I get just because I don't have to go back in a few days. They take some blood, they see if I have TB, I get a negative, and then I'm good to go. But you have to make sure that you have the proof that you got that done and the results. So when I say compliant, that's what I mean. Now also the facility, each facility that you go to may also require you to fill out paperwork. So you want to know this beforehand. Some facilities actually want to train the students. Maybe it's on their policies and procedures. Some will teach the clinical instructor, and then it's up to the clinical instructor to go ahead and teach the students. So this kind of goes back and forth. So you really don't know. And then the third entity that you have to be compliant with is your state. So the state may also have some requirements. Now that's kind of up to the school to figure out what those requirements are. But I think as a nursing student, you should just be aware that there are state compliant things. And then I'm going to say that your clinical instructor also has rules that you have to follow, and that's not to punish you or anything like that. It's to keep you safe. Study time is another thing you have to balance. So when you study, don't study in a really noisy place because you're going to read the same sentence 15 times. You may not even want to study in a very quiet place because then you might fall asleep while you're studying because you're going to be tired in nursing school. You also want to make sure that you have adequate time to study. So don't try to power read like 10 chapters in an hour. It's just not going to happen. You also want to make sure that you complete all your assignments on time and that you have appropriate study methods. We will go over some of these things in other presentations. I just want to introduce all these things to you during this presentation. Yes. Yes, Sue. Okay. So study time, make sure that you have that, okay? You may say to yourself, how am I going to do this all? And this right here is how most nursing students feel in the very beginning. And then you'll figure it out. You'll learn the skills. So I want to tell you a little story here and see what you think. This is called the 5K. There was a man who decided that he wanted to run a 5K. Although he knew that he was overweight and he was in less than optimal shape and didn't have the highest self-esteem, he believed in his dream. His friends laughed at him and they told him that he was perfect just the way he was and that he didn't need to run a 5K to prove anything to them. In fact, they teased him about his dream. He acknowledged their feelings. However, deep inside, he knew what he wanted to do and he knew what he needed to do to accomplish that goal. So every day, this man would drive up to the track at the local school. At first, all he could do was jog at a very slow pace for a few feet, and then he would have to walk. He discovered that when he listened to music, he was able to jog slower further than he could without it. And I'm sure some of you understand that when you're listening to music, you're able to exercise or just go a little further. So have you had a goal like that you knew in your heart that you wanted to do? Maybe people kind of didn't believe in the goal as much as you. I believe that our goals are put in our hearts for a reason. I think sometimes it might be part of our destiny. So you got to hang on to that goal. So let's see what happened to this man. Let me take a drink. Love my DC. So there were many times that this man felt like a fool because he was jogging so slowly. Runners would pass him by and they'd kind of sarcastically wave at him. And no matter how he felt, though, he never gave up. He learned to see his victories. No matter how small they were, each achievement was huge to him. A month passed and the man saw that each day he was able to jog further and faster. His whole life was changing too. He was eating better and drinking a lot of water. He was taking vitamins and even taking better care of himself. He was gaining in confidence in many areas of his life. He was happier. His friends saw the change and they wanted what he had. Why do you think he was happier? Yes, because he was pursuing his dream, his goal. So after 3 months of his new lifestyle, the man was in the best shape of his life. He even added lifting weights to his routine. He registered for the 5K and he continued to train. When the day of the 5K came, it was raining outside. The man didn't care, as he had waited for this day for months. Some people might give up, right? Because it's raining outside. It's fun to run in the rain. He placed his headphones on and he began to listen to music as he placed one foot in front of another. Sometimes it's all what we need to do to get our dream, right? Although there were runners that were faster than him, he just kept moving forward at a steady pace. There were times during the run that the man felt like his body was going to give out. Then all of a sudden, he'd get a second wind. After jogging for what seemed like a long time, this rain-soaked man looked up and he saw the finish line. He smiled and he realized that he had not stopped to walk at all during this entire 5K. As he crossed the finish line, he learned a valuable lesson. He learned to believe in himself. After the 5K, the man went to his house and he took a shower. All of a sudden, his phone rang. On the other end of the phone was the mayor of the town. The mayor told the man that he had won a trophy. He was the first place winner of the 5K in his age group, and the newspaper wanted to take a picture of the two of them with the trophy. The man was amazed as he laughed. Was he the fastest? No, he wasn't. He learned that that wasn't what was important. So let me ask you, what do you think the man learned from this experience? Persistence. So now I would like for you to think of a goal that you really want to achieve. Why do you want to achieve this goal? What do you think at this point it will take to achieve the goal? What challenges may stand in your way of achieving this goal? And what plan do you have to bypass the potential challenges that you may encounter? So now I want you just for a moment to pretend that you've reached this goal. How do you feel? What does your life look like right now after you've achieved the goal? Can you smell or see or taste anything? I really want you to close your eyes and pretend that you've reached that goal. Where are you when you close your eyes? Is there a background? Do you see anything? Are your arms up in the air? Do you feel proud? I want you to remember that feeling, because there's going to be times when you want to give up, especially with nursing school. There's going to be times when you question, why am I doing this? Because it's tough. It's doable though. Look how many nurses have done it. We've done it. We know it's tough. You're not alone. So you have to remember why you're doing it in the first place. And in nursing school, you're going to hear this: SMART goals. So when you make a goal, you should use the SMART. Be smart about it, I guess would be a good way to put it. So that means it should be specific. So what specifically do you want to do? What's the goal? Measurable. How do you know when you achieved the goal? So let's do an example. I would like to graduate nursing school. How will I know when I achieved it? I will get my diploma. Attainable. Is it in my power to accomplish it? Yes, it is. I've graduated high school, I've taken my prerequisites, and now I'm ready to start and complete nursing school. Is it realistic? Can I realistically achieve this? Yes, you can. You've got to believe in the power of your dreams. I don't care what you've got going on in your life right now. You can do this. You just have to be dedicated to it. And you almost have to be like a horse with those blinders on, that you know what you want to do. So you have to move forward. Okay? Don't doubt yourself. Believe in yourself. And then timely. When exactly would you like to accomplish this? And be realistic about it. Okay, don't say, well, I want to accomplish this tomorrow, because that's not going to happen. So you have to kind of say, all right, I want to accomplish this in 2 years. Maybe be realistic. Look at the program, look at how long the program is, and then set your time. Let me move me. So goal completion starts your first day of nursing school. All right, you have to learn how to plan your time. It's going to take time. You have to set your priorities and your goals. And we'll talk about that a little bit here. But we'll talk about, I'm just trying to really help you guys focus and achieve your goal. All right, I've done it. There's many other nurses who have done it. And we want to help you. We want you to join us in nursing. Okay, so we're telling you, we're helping you pave this road. So you have to set your priorities and your goals. Okay, what is your goal? Well, it's to pass this class because I'm paying for it, right? And it's it's a stepping stone of me being able to achieve my dreams. The other thing is you have to be dedicated. You can't just half do this. You can't sit on the fence and go, I'm kind of going to do it. I'll study when I feel like it. That's not the kind of nurse. You have to really ask yourself, what kind of nurse do I want to be? If this nurse was taking care of one of the people that you love, what kind of nurse would you want me to be? Would you want me to be like kind of half in and half out? No, of course not. You would want me to be very dedicated. You want me to be committed, right? So you have to be committed. I want you to be the nurse that you would want. And then you have to be prepared. We'll talk about that as well. Those who fail to plan to fail. And that's a quote by Benjamin Franklin, and I love that. Now, you may also say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. All right, but we can make plans. We can make a path. It's like driving with a map, or now driving with I can't say the name of it, but driving with your phone. Once you put the destination in, you can go ahead and try to get somewhere that you don't, maybe, you want to take a trip to, I don't know, Los Angeles. You can sure try without a map or without the guidance. I don't know how good that's going to work if you live in, say, Florida. I'm not sure that would work. I mean, I suppose you could just keep going west and hope that you get there. Isn't it so much easier, though, to kind of have a map to figure out where you have to go, what each step of the way? I think so. So that's preparation. Okay. All right, so let's go through this whole success in nursing school and how you're going to complete your goal. That's your goal. So the first step is you have to plan your time. Success starts with time management. You have to manage your time. All right. There's only so much time in a day, and you have to be, I'm going to take these off for right now. You have to be dedicated. All right. I think I'm going to turn the chat off here. Okay. Planning time, it starts with time management. And if you look at people that are really good with time management, they say if you want something done, ask a busy person. And that's very true, because when we're busy, we know how to manage the time efficiently and effectively. It's a skill. Time management is a skill that you have to learn. And there are so many books on time management. I have multiple, okay? Increased productivity. You're able to get more done in a shorter period of time because you're more focused on what you need to do. You also have a better quality of work. So if I know that I only have so much time to do this, I'm going to really work hard. And then you have less stress. You're happier because you're not so stressed out. You're not procrastinating, waiting until the last minute. You're scheduling your time. Okay. You also are able to achieve deadlines. You can also retain knowledge easier. I read that, I think it was that the human mind can only hold like, I think it's 6 to 8 bits of knowledge, I don't know, at a time in their short-term memory. So what you have to do, you're going to get just information thrown at you. You're going to feel like a sponge that's under the faucet at times. And the only way that you're going to be able to remember that is to transfer it into your long-term memory. And that is why you want to schedule your time and do a little bit at a time, which we'll talk about how to study. But it's easier to retain knowledge if you're able to manage your time. And then you'll be able to focus because you won't be so tired from trying to like cram the night before a test. You stay up all night, you try to learn all this material, and then you're exhausted when the test came. In fact, yeah, I fell asleep once during a test in nursing school. It was not a proud moment. I was so tired that I fell asleep. Anyway, the teacher woke me up and I just told her I was thinking. I did pass the class then. The other thing is you have to schedule your time. Okay, so you're going to get, this is a great little planner here. Each day you're going to have what you want to get done. And one of the things that I do is like I have a little notebook that I write down things that I want to get done, and then or notes that I have, and then when I'm done, I cross them out or I check them off. I want you to ask yourself, though, you have to read the course syllabus. The syllabus is like the contract between the school and the teacher and you. So what am I, as the student, expected to do? What am I, as the instructor, expected to do? So one of the things that we have to do as instructors is we have to go ahead and answer all emails within 48 hours. Okay, so I want to be able, you need to be able to reach me as your nursing instructor. The other thing you're going to look at is what are the course objectives? Why am I taking this class and what am I supposed to learn in this class? You have to know why you're doing it. Then what's the plan? So how am I supposed to reach these objectives? All right, sorry, I'm watching my dog. Peanut, what are you doing? All right. You also have to say, what am I expected to do? So what homework? What assignments do I have to do? When are the tests? When are these, I have to know what I need to do. Are there discussions? And then you want to put them in your planner. This is when it's due. This is when it's due. And this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do Monday. I have this test on Thursday. So Monday don't wait. I wouldn't wait. If I had a test on Thursday, I wouldn't wait to start studying for it on Monday. Not a good idea. So you have to figure out, okay, this should be my review days, Tuesday, Wednesday. These should just be review days. I should have learned the information way before this, okay? So anyway, with this planner, you're going to say, you're going to answer these questions. You're going to be realistic. Don't, make it into manageable bites. They say there's a saying, how do you eat an elephant? Not that you would want to eat an elephant. And it's one bite at a time. And that's kind of a really weird thing. But anyway, it's how do you how do you do something large? Well, you do it a little bit at a time. You don't have to, it's like when I think about exercising, I think, oh, I've got to go out and I have to work out for 2 hours. And then I go, I don't really have 2 hours. And then I'm tired before I even started because I'm thinking I have to do this for 2 hours. I could do it for 10 minutes, at a time. I don't have to do it for 2 hours. So I want you to think of it as stepping stones, not like you're going to, jump from point A to point Z. You're going to go A, B, C, D, right? Okay. You can also use different colors. So I use different colors for different classes. It kind of just keeps me organized. Check off or cross off once it's completed, and that gives you a sense of accomplishment. You also want to build in time for other activities. You don't want to be all school and all work. You have to have time where you're just engaged in having fun. And delegate any tasks that you can. I'm not talking about your homework. I'm talking about like laundry, cooking, shopping, all those things that we have to do, vacuuming, dusting, things that make you happy. Like I have a hard time studying if my surroundings are a mess. So I may study for a little bit and then clean for a little bit, and then study for a little bit and clean for a little bit, study for a little bit, and then ask one of my kids to vacuum or something, okay? So then you want to work smarter and not harder. You have to make those minutes count, okay? 2. So the first one was, what was it? Plan your time, schedule your time. Okay, so 1 is plan your time. 2 is you have to set priorities. So how do I know it's a priority? Well, when's it due? If I have something due tomorrow, do you think I should wait till today to do it? If it's due tomorrow, no. You have to look at the learning objectives. Again, this is why you're taking a class. What are we learning this week? So it helps me if I say, okay, this week we're learning in physical assessment, we're learning how to assess the respiratory system. So I may even have a theme. It's respiratory week. And that kind of puts me in the frame of mind, okay? It's kind of like, hold on, I have to turn my heater on. It's kind of like saying to yourself, like a professional ball player, they may, if they play football, they're not going to think about basketball during the game. So you're kind of saying to yourself, okay, like I'm learning this week. And it kind of it makes it like a themed week. It kind of makes it a little more fun. So what material, okay, are we learning? What reading is recommended? Now that we'll talk about this when we get into the studying presentation, not this one. I'm not trying to put all this information in your head. I'm really trying to help you. But what reading is recommended? So nursing books are huge. I'm talking thousand pages. If you have 200 pages, I'm just saying hypothetically, if you have 200 pages assigned, you're not going to be able to read 200 pages of nursing material. I mean, if you have insomnia, it's a great way to fall asleep. So you are going to look at that information, and I promise we will talk about that in that presentation, okay? Then you have to look at, are there ATI modules associated with the information? Like I said, you're probably going to have ATI tests in a lot of your classes, and some of these tests are proctored, which means you're going to have an instructor sitting in front of the classroom watching, and you take this ATI test. And in some of the ATI tests, you have to score like a level 2 in order to graduate. Not necessarily to pass the class, although I'm sure some schools have that you have to get a certain percentage maybe to pass the class, but a lot of universities and colleges say You just have to have it by the time you graduate. So you need to know like what information you can look at from that class. So say you're taking, you're going to be taking the fundamentals proctored exam at the end of your med-surg class. Well, let's start looking at the med-surg book, and if since this is respiratory week, well, let me look and see what information in my fundamentals ATI book talks about the respiratory system. Does that make sense? Okay. And then you have to look at other commitments. So you want to really minimize your other commitments. When you're in nursing school, your majority of your time is going to be learning. However, you do have to have a life. Your whole life can't be nursing school. It's just not crazy. Not be a healthy individual, trust me. You have to do other things, okay? So look at your other commitments. Perhaps maybe you have to work. So, okay, if I have to work this day, and this day, well, then that means that realistically, I'm not going to study. I'm going to be too tired if I do this. So I have to go to class and I have to go to work. I'm not going to take any extra hours unless I have to. And then I'm going to balance my studying time around this. And then I'm maybe going to ask myself, you know, if there's things that I can do on my way to work or home from work. We'll talk about that. So when we prioritize and organize the information, we're talking about, well, prioritizing it. One of the things, there's so many different people that have made suggestions on how to prioritize. One is this Moscow prioritization, and this is a really simple way to kind of organize. It's must, should, could, or would. Okay, or you can do it, things I have to do, like I must do these. So things I should do, things that it would be nice to do, but they're not a top priority. Okay. Sometimes you can also like multitask. So like if I want to do something nice for myself, say I want to put like a mud mask on, well, I can do that while I'm studying. It might not be a good idea to do a mud mask if I'm doing a class like this or a presentation. I mean, I could, but probably not a good idea. But when I'm sitting and reading, I could certainly do that. The Eisenhower box. This is another way that you can prioritize your stuff. And it's basically saying what's urgent and important. So you kind of make 4 categories. This stuff is urgent and important. So I'm going to do these first. This stuff is urgent, but it's not really important, which I can't even think of anything like that would fit that category, because urgent and important kind of, urgent is time, important is like I have to get this done. So I'm not sure. I can't even think of an example off the top of my head with that one. What's important and it's not urgent. So like something, I can get that one. What's neither urgent nor important, then why am I even having it on my list, right? Brian Tracy, this is Brian, and he has this, he wrote a book called Eat That Frog. I have not read it yet. It's on the reading list. He has come up with a really easy method, A, B, C, D, E. I like it. A is a goal that's very important, so that's my top priority for the day. B is important, so I really kind of want to do it. C, well, it would be nice to do, like clean out my fridge or something like that. D is something that I can delegate. Okay, like E, it doesn't even have to go on the list. Can I eliminate it? 3, you have to have dedication and commitment. Commitment, you're either in or you're out. There's no such thing as in between. So I want to tell you, you're always committed to something. I may be committed to watching a movie when I should be committed to studying. I may be committed to just doing nothing, playing a game on my phone, when I should be committed to something else. So that's called living purposefully. So no matter what you're doing, be committed to the task that you're doing that minute. Okay? But you also have to prioritize. Okay? It takes discipline to be a nurse. So don't give up, even though there may be times when you want to. I'm going to tell you what, as a nurse, you're going to have those times. In acute care, the stress is high. And when I say acute care, I mean hospital working. And there are times when you will leave your shift and you will sit in your car and you will ask yourself, what just happened to me for these last 13 hours? Why am I doing this? There's so many easier jobs. And then you're going to remember your goal. You may even cry. There's going to be times when you are exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally. And that's when you have to remember why you are doing what you're doing. When I got into those situations, those times, I would know that I believe that nursing is a calling from God. I think God chooses nurses. And if you remember that you're doing God's work, it really makes it a lot easier. But I want to tell you, in nursing school too, you're going to have times when you really want to give up. You're just tired. You're just pushed to your limit. And I want you to hang in there. Don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens. I promise, if you dig your feet in the ground and do what we're suggesting, you will get through it. There will be people to support you. I'm here to support you. So you have to be committed in each step, okay? We're always committed to something. I talked to you about that. Realize that you're in this for the long haul. Live purposefully and celebrate. Celebrate each moment and step forward. Whether it's stickers, I have like a whole thing of stickers. Okay, so if I do like what I was gonna do that day, I'm not gonna, I pull out my stickers. I have stickers. And I put them in I have a whole big thing of stickers. I'm like the sticker lady. And in my calendar, when I accomplish a day or a goal or whatever, I put a sticker. You may buy yourself a new stethoscope. That's a bigger purchase. You can get yourself, I don't know, whatever, a little brush, something that you really want. Celebrate, 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 okay? 4, you have to be prepared. So purpose, player, and prioritize. That's the 3 P's. No more PP, it's 3 P's, PPP. It reduces anxiety if you're ready. And then you become open to all possibilities. Because you just don't know what possibility is going to be laying in front of you. Like, it's going to be right there, boom. Be present, be there, be engaged. You increase your self-confidence when you're prepared. When you're prepared for the lesson and then you're sitting in the class, not only will you retain the knowledge better, but you will gain in self-confidence because you will understand what's going on a little more than if you had no idea, like you didn't even look at the material and you're sitting in class and you're trying to figure out what they're talking about. What is this instructor or professor talking about? Nurses are more willing to teach if they know that you're prepared, okay? And then you want to actively learn. So that's being that engaged. It's asking questions. It's participating in class. Preparation in nursing school means that you're going to work at putting this information together. What's going to happen is first we're going to give you the basic knowledge, and that's going to be like the foundation of your house. Then we're going to start building layers, bricks, okay? So every, I don't even know, layer of bricks builds on the previous, okay? So it's easier if you just start to understand it from the very beginning. You're going to learn new skills. You're going to participate in these simulations. You're going to learn why things are important to learn. There's this story. I love this story, okay? It's about this mom who every time she would cook a ham, she would cut the ends off the ham. And her daughter was watching her one day, and the daughter said to her, "Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham?" And the mom says, "Well, because grandma does it." So the young girl goes to her grandma and she says, "Grandma, why do you cut the ends off the ham?" And the grandma looked at the girl, you know, "Oh, well, I cut the ends off the ham because the whole ham won't fit in my pan." So the mom had been cutting the ends off the ham for no reason whatsoever because the ham would have fit in her pan. So you have to learn why you're doing things, okay? Don't just, you know, why do we have to turn the patient every 2 hours? And that's kind of a funny story. The reason we say every 2 hours is because when the hospitals used to be like one full room, it would take the nurse basically 2 hours to turn everybody. So they would say every 2 hours. Now we just kind of set that time. Do you have to wait 2 hours? No. Go turn your patient, all right, if they can't turn themselves. And that's to relieve pressure sores, just FYI. Or prevent, I'm sorry. So learn why things are important. Why am I learning this? All right. Watch more experienced nurses. Why do they do it? Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to do everything by the book. Okay? And don't say, "Oh, you didn't do that by the book." Just see how they're different. Are they taking any shortcuts? Is that a smart shortcut to take? Maybe not. Read your ATI stuff. Start to look at the NCLEX information. There are so many different preparatory books for NCLEX. Start looking at them now. Go get a book and start reading it. You don't have to read like 8 chapters a day. I'm not saying that. I'm saying look at half a page a day. Look at just a little bit each day. It'll help with that end goal. Read your information before class. We talked about it. Assignments, you want to make sure they're completed on time. That's an easy way to get points. Okay? Review the material. So it's not one and done in nursing school. It's not, I'm going to read the material, then I'm going to go to class, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. No, you're going to start reviewing what you just learned. You're going to build on that knowledge. Okay? Just keep building on the knowledge. One way that I used to do is note cards. I loved my note cards. And so I would make the note cards, and then I would put these little rings. I don't know if you can see them. Let me get one out. I would put the little rings on my note cards, and they open up. So I could put like a little hole in it, and then put my note cards on there, and maybe for each system. And then I could just these aren't note cards, but I could go through my note cards each class. Or if you would prefer, you can buy these little nifty books, and they already have these binding. So you could put your information on these. So, and you can even put pictures in there or whatever, okay? You can glue or tape pictures. You can really get creative, and maybe this is your GI book, So then when you start to learn, that's gastrointestinal, okay? You'll learn. Anyway, so you can start putting that information in here. And then if you find like a great video online, you can put the link in here. If you find pictures, you can put them in there. When you start to learn the medications that affect the GI system, you can have like there's little tabs in here too. And so you can take them out and then you can take them out and then say, here's where I have my GI meds. You can put it right back in there. Anyway, you can. All right. So then you have like your little tab for your GI meds. And so you can just keep adding these with different classes. You can keep adding information. And then when you want to review the GI system, here it all is in a neat little pack. Now don't lose this. So maybe get like a shoebox or something that you put this in when you're done with this test. Okay, these are just suggestions. The other thing you want to do is you want to ask questions, right? Because when you're actively learning and you're asking questions, your brain learns it. You want to participate in clinical and in class and in simulation. That's calling being an active learner. Plan to succeed. Set weekly objectives. This week, I'm learning about make a plan. This is a review here. Prioritize. Stick to the plan, but stay flexible. They say if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. You have to sometimes be a little flexible. Don't get stressed out because your plan changed, because as a nurse, I guarantee you're going to come up with a plan in the beginning of your shift. You may have to change it. You're dealing with people and you have to prioritize, and the prioritizing constantly can shift. So you have to remain flexible. Do learn a little bit each day. It'll help, and the more you review it, it'll start to transfer in your long-term memory. Our long-term memory apparently can hold tons of information, where our short-term memory, like I said, it only holds a little bit at a time and then it clears it out. So we don't want it to clear it out. We want it to move to long-term. And then reward yourself. You are working hard. If you're in nursing school, you're working hard. Your instructors are working hard too. I want you to know. I feel like I'm back in nursing school. So I'm going to stop share, not stop share, but I'm going to stop recording and I will come up with any questions. If you are watching this online and you have questions, please email me at nurse-anne, it's N-U-R-S-E, nurse, A-N-N-E, 2020 at gmail.com, and I will try to get back to you. For more information, you can look at futurenurse.net, and remember, you're not alone in this whole thing. We do have some information. Thank you. I'm going to see if I can turn this off.